A very good evening and thank you for joining GBS News at 9. My name is Stephen George and our sign language interpreter tonight is Ivy Kamau. Now to our first story. Close to 300 nursing interns have had to suspend their career progression after the Ministry of Health disclosed that the current budget can only accommodate the placement of 2,000 medical interns. The affected students expressing frustration and disappointment have accused the Nursing Council of Kenya of major flaws and irregularities in the internship placement process. Health Cabinet Secretary Eden Duale has confirmed that a formal investigation is in progress targeting the council and 10 other universities reportedly involved in the confusion fueling the ongoing dispute. Here's more on the details.
Hundreds of nursing graduates in the country have found themselves stranded after the Ministry of Health announced funding constraints that only allowed for posting of 2,098 bachelor-level nursing interns this year, effectively sidelining nearly 300 qualified candidates who expected placement. The decision has sparked widespread frustration among the affected graduates, many of whom accuse the Nursing Council of Kenya of flagrant irregularities in the posting process.
After the submission, re-verification was done, and about 289 students who had qualified to do internship had been omitted from the final list that was produced on 30th June.
It has gone rogue because you cannot sit and just watch a student who's been outside for 2 years looking at their third year, and it does not make you feel anything. It is so unfair, it is so uncivilized, and it is so barbaric.
People have graduated, you have stayed out for 1.5 years. They're asking us to stay out again for another 1.5 years. What are we supposed to do for 3 years? We don't have a license. We can't practice. We can't do anything. We can't depend on our parents right now. So we are requesting that our issue should be dealt with urgency.
In response, Health Cabinet Secretary Eden Duale has ordered a full audit of the entire 2025-2026 nursing internship cohort following revelations that 19 students who had not completed their training were improperly included on the posted list. Duale also confirmed that investigations are now underway into the Nursing Council and 10 universities implicated in the scandal. As part of the interim measures, the internship postings for 42 nursing students have been revoked, and the Nursing Council of Kenya Chief Executive Officer Dr. Lista Nsongo has been suspended pending the outcome of the
rest will wait next year. They have reported. I have a budget for them. You know, I can't post from January to December. Posting of interns is regulated by the Public Service Commission. I have also asked that now a specific desk is now going to be established at MOH dealing with internship issues.
The move reflects deeper concerns of a regulatory oversight within the country's health education sector as course of graduates await placement that is critical for registration and entry into the workforce. Health authorities emphasize their commitment to professionalism and accountability, promising full consequences for anyone found culpable, whether within the ministry, the Nursing Council of Kenya, or partner institutions, while those affected remain in limbo until clearance is secured. Beatrice Wangoi, GBS News.
A stellar report there. President William Ruto has today urged his opponents to give him time to execute his administration agenda. The head of state has promised to build a new Kenya, stating that those pointing fingers at his administration will soon see a new Kenya. Ruto, who spoke during a bell-ringing ceremony at Talanta Stadium, was keen to answer those downgrading the state of Kenya's leadership after serving the country. Here's more on the report.
I listened to one gentleman who retired the other day after working, I think, for 40, 50 years. And he wants to be president. And I listened to him say, Kenya is a failed state. And I asked myself, so for 40 years, you have been working in a failed state?
It is a jab injection released by President William Ruto to the Chief Justice Emeritus David Maraga following his recent utterances about Kenya being a failed state, statement that President William Ruto could not take lightly.
Yes, I made promises. Yes, I took on many challenges that had bogged down our nation for far too long. This wasn't a mistake. This was deliberate and intentional, so as to match our leadership with our national ambition to raise the standard.
The president has also challenged those saying Ruto must go to give him a reason why he has to quit the office, a statement which the former DP Rigathi Gachagua, who is on a man's tour in the US and speaking in Drakkad, USA, he gave an answer to the president's utterances.
We do not and never have aspired to be average. When we aim for excellence, the bar must be higher. And yes, aiming higher invites scrutiny from critics, suspicion from cynics, and doubt from their cousins, the naysayers.
He's a very confused person, extremely confused. When the Gen Z's protest started in 2024, he said it was my deputy and Uhuru. They are the ones who have incited people. He stayed after 3 weeks, he said no. It is the NGOs and the civil society. He stayed after another 4 weeks, he said it's Ford Foundation. Do you remember? The other day, he said it's a church. He said the church, you know, they are the ones who incited people, church leaders, Nini. He went back again, he said it's the opposition. This Sunday, he said it's the parents. William Ruto, please, can you make up your mind what ails your country?
As the fight back and forth between the top political class keeps escalating, the head of state had the bigger word to the country.
Kenyans, brothers and sisters, who say Ruto must go. And for sure, just like those who were there before me, my time will come and I will go. Just like those who were there before me did. But respectfully, sirs, madams, let me ask you. So, what are your reasons for this Ruto must go?
Damu inamwagika namna hii, unaweza kubali Ruto apewe the second term? Kama taongoza kwa vijana wengi namna hii, unakubali miaka 10 ya damu? Ndio sababu tumesema Ruto ni one term for bloodshed to stop in Kenya. Ruto must.
Will he manage to keep the pressure? It is a matter that only time will tell. Davis Karani for GBS News, Nairobi.
Moving on swiftly, a somber mood has engulfed Mikithi village in Kirinyaga County as family and friends gather to bid farewell to 20-year-old Jacqueline Nyawira, who got shot dead during the recent Sabasaba demonstrations in Githurai. Mourning family demands justice, calling on the government to take responsibility for the action of its security forces. Here are the details.
My friend, rest in peace, Jackie. Love you, but rest in peace.
Grievers joined the family of Jacqueline Nyawira in Kirinyaga County, where she was laid to rest. Jacqueline, who was described as hardworking and full of promise, was allegedly shot by police officers at her workplace during the protests. Kirinyaga Senator Kamau Murango, who attended the burial, condemned the government's use of force, accusing it of ignoring the grievances of young people.
Nasema ya kwamba yeye ametutenda. Na kwa sababu ya zile vifo ambazo tayari zimekuwa zikiendelea na kuua watoto wetu, tunaambia rais wetu ya kwamba hata kama hatuogopi sisi, afadhali aogope Mwenyezi Mungu, kwa sababu Mwenyezi Mungu yuko na Mwenyezi Mungu hakuna kitu hawezi fanya.
The burial drew a large number of Gen Z mourners, many of whom carried placards calling for justice, accountability and an end to police brutality. They say the protests were driven by frustration over governance and economic hardship, and criticized the government's violent response.
The demands of the youth in this nation. Whenever you see us in the streets, it's not because we are reckless in this life, not because we're ignorant, but because we can see these people are trading our future. They are killing us at the expense of saving our lives.
Jacqueline is among several young Kenyans who have lost their lives in recent weeks during the nationwide anti-government, largely led by Gen Z activists. The Sabasaba demonstrations have seen heavy police deployment and several cases of reported extrajudicial killings and abductions. Human rights groups have vowed to follow up on Jacqueline's case, with her family saying they will not rest until justice is served. Youth movements have also pledged to hold peaceful vigils and continue pushing for reform, even as concerns grow over the rising toll of state violence. Reporting for GBS, I'm Molin Rono.
The financial history in a landmark move, Lindsay Finco Trust has listed a record-breaking of 44.7 billion shillings infrastructure asset-backed security on the Nairobi Securities Exchange to fund the construction of the Talanta Sports City, the country's newest and the largest stadium project in decades. Susan Nganga brings us more.
Today, as we ring this bell for the listing of Lindsay Finco ABS, may it be a symbol of hope, growth, and prosperity.
NSC.
It started with the ring of a bell and a clear signal that Kenya is now betting on local capital to fund big ambitions. President William Ruto led the bell-ringing ceremony at the Nairobi Securities Exchange, officially marking the listing of the Lindsay 003 infrastructure asset-backed security.
The successful origination, structuring, and listing of the Lindsay 003 infrastructure asset-backed security, the first of its kind in Kenya, raising over 44 billion, is a landmark achievement by any measure.
At 44.7 billion shillings, this is the biggest infrastructure bond ever listed on the NSC. The money will go towards the construction of Talanta Sports City, a proposed 60,000-seater stadium set to become the centerpiece of Kenya's preparation for AFCON 2027.
The proceeds from this listing will directly support the construction of the Talanta Sports City Stadium, a compelling example of how financial markets can accelerate national transformation.
It is the most ambitious sports infrastructure project since Moi Kasarani was completed in 1987.
The Talanta Sports City marks Kenya's first large-scale, purpose-built international stadium project in more than 40 years. The last comparable undertaking was the construction of Moi International Sports Center Kasarani, completed in 1987, ahead of the All Africa Games.
Structured as a 15-year bond, the security is backed by future revenues from sports, arts, and social development fund. It is also supported by a standby letter of credit, a first for this type of issuance. It offers an internal rate of return of 15.04% and is tax-free. Only institutional investors could apply, and they did. The offer slightly oversubscribed at just over 100%.
Lindsay Finco, a subsidiary of Liaison Group, will be issuing a 44.7 billion high BS instrument. This is a trailblazing, groundbreaking, innovative, very sophisticated financial issue to support infrastructure in the country of Kenya.
The listing follows the recent launch of a 3 billion shilling Islamic bond, or sukuk, for affordable housing. It is part of a growing shift towards market-based financing under the Ruto administration.
Last year, Your Excellency, when we celebrated the Suku issue, you left us with a challenge. The challenge was that the Sukuk was trailblazing, but we needed to scale our ambition in terms of the issue size. The Sukuk issue was 3 billion Kenya shillings, Your Excellency, and the ABS we are celebrating today is 44.7 billion, 15 times, Your Excellency.
Once completed, Talanta Sports City will not only host continental tournament, it is expected to train and nurture young Kenyan talents for years to come.
This modern, world-class complex is designed to host international tournaments, foster local talent, and restore Kenya's reputation as a sporting powerhouse.
The listing is the result of a partnership between Liaison Financial Services, KCB Investment Bank, CPF Capital, and EY, with full regulatory oversight from the CMA and CBK. As the AFCON 2027 countdown ticks on, Kenya isn't just building a stadium, it is building confidence in what local financing can achieve. Susan Nganga, GBS News, Nairobi.
A stellar report there. It is time for us to take a short break. Keep streaming into a social media platform at GBS TV Africa. The SMS line is 244. We'll be right back.
My name is Ima Gatoru. I'm a model, a commercial model to be precise. And I've been asked this question, like, is model an art? And yes, modeling is an art. Because there are different products that you're supposed to promote or design, and you have to have that skill of you promoting that design or that product. So how you walk, how you talk, how you present yourself, like how you pose for a picture or pose for an item in your mepewa, or how you drive into a place in your mepewa. So you have to have that art or that skill for you to actually deliver what they want you to deliver. So yeah, modeling is an art.
Navigating the long-distance relationship.
First of all, the world is now a global village thanks to technology and the internet.
When you talk about relationships, when you talk about love, when you talk about feelings, when you talk about emotions, all these things originate from the heart. I never saw in the Bible where someone was married and then the wife was living far away from them, and then there was something that they were building.
When it comes to relationships and probably communication, that distance is not a barrier.
Yeah.
But it is in communication, in effective communication. There is something that long-distance relationships lack, which is very essential for effective relationship building.
When you're cooking and the tap gets spoiled, do you try to repair it from that point, or you run to the main source and then you close it?
Welcome to Fun Dance Class. Today we will continue learning about Jingle Bell Rock. Friends, first you cross your arm and put it on top of your head, and as you go in left side, you open it, then you come back to your place.
And then you make your leg 90 degrees, and then as you put your legs until 90 degrees, you need to jump a bit. 1, 2, Then as you jump a bit, you need to stretch your hands downwards.
Everywhere, GBS.
And welcome back now to international news. Sudan's Upper Nile states are teetering on the edge of famine, with access cut off by months of conflict. The World Food Programme is restoring to emergency airdrops to reach thousands at risk. But a critical funding shortfall now threatens to halt even these life-saving operations. Let's get more from Juba.
In the skies above South Sudan's Upper Nile state, the United Nations World Food Programme is racing against time and hunger. With access by road and river completely cut off due to months of fighting, World Food Programme has turned to airdrops, a last resort, to reach communities on the brink of famine in Nasir and Ulang counties. More than 4,000 people are receiving life-saving food and nutrition supplies.
Airdrops like this are obviously the last resort for WFP, but these communities cannot be reached in any other way. There is no access by road, there is no access by river, and so we are left with no option by doing these airdrops or in order to get our life-saving assistance in. And this is truly life-saving. Without this food, people in these communities would die.
Since March, conflict in the Upper Nile has displaced hundreds of thousands, tripling the number of people facing the most extreme level of food insecurity. IPC Phase 5. Without an urgent scale-up in aid, the program warns that Nasir and Ulang may slide into a full-blown famine.
Across South Sudan, some 8 million people are acutely food insecure, many surviving and relying on WFP assistance. But we are running very short on money right now, and this is forcing us to scale back our support and assistance also in communities facing starvation.
Meanwhile, hope moves slowly down the White Nile. After months of disruption by conflict, the program has resumed river convoys, the most cost-effective way to deliver bulk food in a country with almost no roads. One such convoy, carrying 1,380 metric tons of food and non-food items, departed board this month, heading north to hard-hit communities in the Upper Nile. These missions are critical during South Sudan's lean season, where food is scarcest, crops are lost to floods, and markets have collapsed. Across the country, 7.7 million people are facing severe hunger. At least 83,000 are experiencing catastrophic conditions. A record 2.3 million children are at risk of malnutrition. The World Food Programme says it urgently needs $274 million to sustain operations, enough to reach just the most vulnerable 2.5 million people through the end of the year, and even then, with only half rations. Without immediate funding, further ration cuts are expected by September, threatening to reverse recent fragile gains in food security. Susan Nganga, GBS News, South Sudan.
In a significant moment for international diplomacy, Morocco's Foreign Minister Nasir Bourita has made his first official visit to North Macedonia, a move that signals a deepening of ties between the two nations. During talks in Skopje with the counterpart Foreign Minister Timko Mukunzi, the two sides explored ways to strengthen political dialogue and unlock new opportunities in trade, tourism, culture, and infrastructure. As both countries look to expand their global partnerships, this visit marks the beginning of a broader and more strategic collaboration. Here's more on the story.
Morocco's Foreign Minister Nasir Bourita has made a landmark visit to Skopje, meeting with his North Macedonian counterpart, Timko Mukunzi. The two ministers discussed deepening political dialogue and building strong ties in key areas like economy, tourism, culture and infrastructure.
Our bilateral relationship is more significant than the politics itself. They should mean more achievements for our businesses and citizens too.
Mukunski stressed that the relationship should go beyond politics, highlighting plans to organize a business forum in Morocco. The event will bring together business leaders from both nations to explore investment and trade opportunities.
So we open the next topic to hold a business forum in Morocco, where we will participate with our businessmen to meet Morocco's business sector too, and to point out what kind of investments we should have and trade as well.
The ministers also spoke about establishing direct flights to improve connectivity and boost economic exchange. They reaffirmed support for the UN-led process on Western Sahara, recognizing Morocco's 2007 autonomy proposal as a credible step. The visit marks a significant step forward in the growing partnership between Morocco and North Macedonia. Elvin Muyodi, GBS News.
Israeli activists gathered at Habima Square on Tuesday for a protest march towards the Israeli Defense Ministry headquarters in Tel Aviv, denouncing the ongoing food shortage and forced displacement of Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. Israeli activists gathered at Habima Square on Tuesday for a protest march towards the Israeli Defense Ministry headquarters. Let's have a story on this. Well, to our next story, amid escalating global outrage over the humanitarian crisis in Gaza, hundreds of protesters rallied outside the United Nations headquarters in New York this week, demanding urgent intervention. The demonstrators called on the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres to take concrete action against Israel military operations, which they described as acts of genocide. The protests reflected growing international pressure on the UN to enforce a ceasefire and facilitate humanitarian aid as conditions in Gaza rapidly deteriorate. Here are the details.
Hundreds of protesters gathered outside the United Nations headquarters in New York this week, calling on Secretary General Antonio Guterres to take urgent and decisive action against Israeli military operations in Gaza. Waving Palestinian flags and chanting slogans, demonstrators accused Israel of committing genocide and urged the UN to enforce a ceasefire and open humanitarian corridors immediately.
We try to put pressure on the U.S. government. We try to put pressure on all nations because AIPAC is incredibly powerful, but the UN has incredible power to act beyond Security Council, and so we've kind of communicated a list of demands, and we're trying to put pressure on Guterres. He does, in fairness, make statements every day condemning Israeli actions, but statements aren't enough.
The protest comes as the humanitarian situation in Gaza continues to worsen, with widespread destruction, severe food shortages, and overwhelmed medical facilities. Organizers warned that without immediate and international intervention, the crisis could escalate into a full-scale catastrophe. Many express frustration with what they see as UN's failure to hold Israel accountable for civilian casualties and the blockade on aid.
There's people that are starving to death regularly, 20 people in the last 48 hours, people being shot in the head just trying to get what little aid is coming in.
Protesters also criticized world powers, particularly the United States, for blocking stronger UN resolutions that could pressure Israel to halt its attacks. They demanded that the UN move beyond diplomatic statements and use its authority to stop violence, protect civilians, and ensure unrestricted access to life-saving aid for Gaza's population.
U.S. soft drink giant Coca-Cola says it plans to introduce a new Coke sweetened with cane sugar to its existing lineup, confirming a plan that President Donald Trump previewed last week. The company already uses regular sugar to sweeten its signature Coke drink in many parts of the world. Still, in the U.S., it has typically used corn syrup, a lower-cost alternative. For decades, Trump's Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has voiced concern about the health risk though experts say there are no clear nutritional reasons to favor one sweetener over the other. Police used tear gas to disperse angry students in Bangladesh on Tuesday who demanded answers from the interim government after Air Force strike jet crashed into Dhaka school and killed 31 people, at least 25 of them children. The children, many aged under 12, were about to return home from class on Monday when the Chinese-manufactured F-7 BGI Bangladesh Air Force jet plowed into their school and burst into flames, trapping pupils in the fire and debris, as Davis Karani reports.
Students from the school and others from nearby colleges protested as two government officials visited the crash site, demanding an accurate death toll, and other students elsewhere in the capital, some of them waving sticks, broke through the main gate of the federal government secretariat, demanding the resignation of the education advisor.
It was a very sad incident. We will try our best to find out the causes.
আমি থাকি মিরপুরে, আমার ছোট ভাই থাকে উত্তরা। আমি খবরে যখন শুনলাম তখনই আমি চলে গেছি, চলে গিয়ে ওখানে যে পাই নাই, পরে ওই আপনার উত্তরা ওই যে মেডিকেলে গেছি, দুইটা মেডিকেলে গেছি, ওখানে নাই, পরে কোনো মেডিকেলে এখানে আছে, এখান থেকে আমি একটা সংবাদ পাইছি যে এখানে আছে, পরে এখানে চলে আসছে, পরে এখানে থেকে আমি আমার আগে আমার ভাতিজা আসছে, বললো যে নাই মারা গেছে।
কোনো টিচার দরজা ভেঙে ওকে না আনলে আসলে অনেক ছোট, তো 8 বছর বয়স, আরো বড় ধরনের খুব খারাপ কিছু ঘটে যেতে পারত। আসলে আমরা খুবই মানসিকভাবে খুবই আমরা ট্রমায় আছি। হ্যাঁ, খুবই।
Police baton charged them, fired tear gas and used sound grenades to disperse the crowd, leaving dozens injured. Dhaka Metropolitan Police Deputy Commissioner Telabur Rahman said they had to use tear gas to disperse the protesters. On Tuesday, the military said in a statement that 31 people had died and 165 had been admitted to hospital in the city. The health ministry said 68 remained in hospital and the condition of 10 of them was critical.
ঠিক আছে, দ্বিতীয়ত দাবি হচ্ছে যে ডিফল্ট হয়েছে, প্লেনে যে ডিফল্টটা ছিল, কি কারণে প্লেনটা ক্র্যাশ করছে। আপনাদের বিমান বাহিনীতে যখন কোনো প্লেন টেক অফ করে তখন তো আপনি মাস্ট বি আগে চেক করেন প্লেনটা কোনো ত্রুটি আছে কিনা, আপনারা কি সেই প্লেনটা চেক করেন নাই, সেটার কোশ্চেনের অ্যান্সার দিতে হবে। দ্বিতীয়ত কথা হচ্ছে যে আপনাদেরকে মাস্ট বি এটা বলতে হবে যে আমাদের শিক্ষকদের গায়ে কেন হাত তোলা হয়েছে।
The government announced a day of mourning with flags at half-mast and special prayers at all places of worship. Pope Leo said he was deeply saddened to learn the loss of lives in the crash and prayed that families and friends may be consoled in their grief and for the healing and comfort of the injured, according to Vatican statement.
দেন 12টা থেকে 12:30টার ভিতরে হঠাৎ করে প্লেনটা এখানে ক্র্যাশ করে। এখানে 2-4জন ফাইটার জেট যাইতেছিল, দুইটার মাঝখান থেকে একটা ক্র্যাশ করে। ক্র্যাশ করার পরে এখানে পড়ার পরে 1 থেকে 8 পর্যন্ত ইংলিবাসনের যে বিল্ডিংগুলো ছিল ওইখানে ইংলিবাসনের ওইখানে পড়ে যায়। পড়ে যাওয়ার পরে এখানে যে 2-4জন বাচ্চা ছিল বাহিরে, ছোট ছোট, ওরা কি ওইখানে আহত হয়, আবার অনেক মানুষজন আহত হয়, স্যাররাও আহত হয়।
The protesting students called for those killed and injured to be named, the decommissioning of what they said were old and risky jets, and a change in Air Force training procedures.
অজানা শিশুদের মুখ সবার চোখে ভেসে উঠছে। সারা জাতি হতভম্ব বা ক্রুদ্ধ, শোকাহত বললে খুব কম বলা হবে।
Davis Karani for GBS News.
Well, it is time for your most favorite segment of the show, the sports news. Let's get sporty. Well, let's go to the sports news. Well, Football Kenya Federation President Hussein Mohamed has come out strongly to dismiss swirling rumors that Vice President Mariga has been ousted from his position, terming the claims as baseless and unverified. Social media reports surfaced on Tuesday, alleging that Mariga had been quietly removed and replaced by Abdallah Yusuf, a co-opted FKF Executive Committee member and close ally of Hussein. The claims ignited a flurry of reactions from fans and stakeholders in the football community, especially with CHAN 2024 preparations in full swing. However, Hussein took to his social media platform to clear the air, emphasizing that no such decision had been made, that the FKF remains firmly grounded on its constitutional procedures. The FKF constitution, particularly Article 4.1, outlines the legal process required to remove an elected official. It mandates that a dismissal must be proposed either by the National Executive Committee or at least 1/3 of the FKF members, followed by a vote requiring a 2/3 majority. As it stands, no such motion has been tabled or voted on. This unfolding controversy comes just weeks before Kenya hosts the 8th edition of the African Nation Championship, a key milestone in country football calendar. With preparations for CHAN nearing completion, the FKF leadership will be keen to maintain stability and focus amid growing public scrutiny. Kenya's national men and women hockey teams have intensified their training at the City Park Hockey Stadium in Nairobi ahead of the 2025 African Cup of Nations, scheduled for October 11th to the 18th in Ismailia, Egypt. The tournament, which will be hosted alongside the women edition, will mark the 12th edition of the continental showpiece organized by the African Hockey Federation. Now, the national men's team coach Michael Malugu, who also guided Western Jaguars to their historic maiden Premier League title last season, is optimistic that a blend of seasoned players and promising young talent will give Kenya an edge in the continental showpiece, which also serves as a qualifier for the 2026 Hockey World Cup. The national women hockey team head coach Meshak Senge has his eyes firmly set on the podium finish to boost their readiness for the championship. The team has lined up a series of friendly matches as part of their preparation. The squad will blend of experienced players and rising young talent has been training intensively at the City Park Hockey Stadium. The teams have been holding 3 sessions weekly with the focus squarely on sharpening tactics, fitness and team cohesion. The team will be aiming to build on their recent performances at the 2022 Hockey Africa Cup of Nations held in Ghana. The women's side clinched bronze, which host Ghana and eventual winners Egypt, occupying the top 2 spots, while the men's team finished 4th behind Nigeria, Egypt and champion South Africa. Morocco will face Nigeria in Saturday's final after Super Falcons beat South Africa 2-1. Morocco has booked its place in the WAFCON final after a dramatic 4-2 penalty shootout win over Ghana, following a 1-1 draw Tuesday night in Rabat. The Atlas Lionesses will now face powerhouse Nigeria, who earlier defeated defending champion South Africa 2-1 in Casablanca. Ghana took the lead in the 26th minute, but Morocco hit back early in the second half with a well-taken goal by Sakina. The match remained deadlocked through extra time, sending it to penalties where Morocco held firm to advance. It's another major achievement for Morocco's rising World Cup debut. Nani anacheza na prompter bwana? Big news from the Emirates tonight. Arsenal have officially completed the signing of Swedish striker Victor from Sporting CP. The highly sought-after forward joins the Gunners in a big money deal, making one of the club's headline moves of the summer transfer window. With Mikel aiming to strengthen his attacking option ahead of new season, it's seen as a key piece in Arsenal title ambitions.
Victor Gyökeres is an Arsenal player. The Swedish international make the move from Sporting SP in a deal reportedly worth over 85 million euros, becoming one of the most expensive signings in Arsenal history. Known for his strength, pressing and clinical finishing, Gyökeres had a standout season in Portugal, scoring 43 goals in all competition. Mikel Arteta had made a striker his top priority this summer, and now he got his man. The 26-year-old arrived in North London with high expectation, as Arsenal continue to build a squad capable of challenging Man City for the Premier League title. Fans will be eager to see him in action during the upcoming pre-season fixtures, as a new chapter begins at Emirates with Gyökeres leading the squad. I'm Brian Omala, reporting for GBS.
Well, we've come to the end of the news bulletin. It is always a pleasure having you on board. Let's do this again next time, same channel. My name is Stephen George. We make your news our business. Our sign language interpreter tonight has been Ivy. Good night.
Everywhere, GBS.